Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. It's Jared with Drone Talk Tuesday, where every Tuesday I drop bite-sized videos for you talking all things drone. Today I'm going to give you guys an inside tip, an inside look at what I do prior to flying. And that tip is having a pre-flight checklist. I'm going to let you look at mine and how I structure it and let you know how it helps me and why I think it's important. Stay tuned. Hey friends, thanks for stopping by. I always appreciate it. I really do. You guys humble me so much just stopping in and watching these videos, and I hope they're informational for you. If you guys have any questions or comments or topics that you want me to cover, just shoot me a message and I'll do my best to get you guys the information you need. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about a tip. It's not necessarily a drone rule, but more of a tip on how to have a safe flight and help your commercial drone operations go much more smoothly. We've been talking a lot about drone rules and drone regulations. One of the things I'm all about is having safe flights. And so following those rules and regs is important, but actually doing a few extra things to build into your operations is equally as important. And that one thing that I think is super important for all commercial drone pilots to have is a pre-flight checklist. And I want to show you my pre-flight checklist and give you an inside look at my process every single time I go do a flight for a client. So check it out. This is what I do. I know it's old school, right? It is handwritten. I go through it and check it off with a pencil. You can create your own checklist on your phone, but I prefer to do it by hand, and I'll kind of explain why. But every time I go fly, guys, I have this checklist that I have created for myself, and it helps keep me on task. And the biggest thing I can say about a checklist is not only does it help keep you safe, but it reduces your psychological tension and stress when you're up in the air flying. Because if you've done all your prep work prior to flying, man, you can get up in the air and you can just zen out and focus on photography and not have to worry so much because you know that you've prepared for the flight. And that's really why I think a pre-flight checklist is so important. And so I'm gonna let you guys know how I have set mine up. There's a lot of different checklists out on the web. There's actually a couple of different drone checklist apps you can download. But again, if you're using your phone to fly, accessing the checklist while you're flying your drone, kind of hard to do, so that's why I recommend a handwritten one. But mine is set up and broken up into 4 different sections, right? Before flight. Most of my checklist, as you see right here, that's everything I do before my flight. That makes up almost half of my checklist because there's a lot of planning. But it lets me go through each step and all my processes and make sure I have all my bases covered. So what are some of the things I do? I won't read off every single one, but I'll read off some of the key ones. I make sure that my batteries are charged. I make sure my drone is not damaged. I make sure that I have my authorization to fly in controlled airspace. I make sure that the client knows what time I'm gonna show up. I make sure that I've checked for TFRs and NOTAMs. We'll touch on that in another video. It's like flight restrictions. And I also make sure that I'm mentally and physically prepared for that flight coming up. So did I get enough sleep? Did I eat? Have I been stressed out for the day? Because psychological stress will affect your flight. And so those are some of the things I go through prior to my flight to make sure that when I get out on site, I'm good to go. So in the next section of my pre-flight checklist is what we call on site. When I'm on site, I inspect it for hazards. I recheck the weather conditions. I also recheck myself and make sure that I'm good to go. I check and make sure my SD card is securely in my drone. I make sure the battery is charged again and secure in the drone. I also check the site for hazards, like I said, to make sure that I have a good place to land and take off. And that way, if I also have a malfunction in the air, I've got that prepared mentally for myself. And so I identify a landing and launching area. And so those are some of the things I do when I get out on site. There's a lot more on my checklist, but those are some of the main things. Then when I take off, that's the next section of my checklist. So I literally take off and I hover my drone for a couple of seconds, 10 seconds. That's one of my checklists, and I'll grab my checklist while it's hovering and I'll check it off because the drone is looking stable 5 feet above the ground and I feel comfortable taking it higher into the air. And I also do some basic flight movements as well. And while I'm flying the drone and it's hovering, I check the satellite lock, make sure I have plenty of satellites locked. I check my camera settings before I get way up in the air and make sure they're good to go. all while it's hovering about 5 feet off the ground. So that way, when I do launch 100, 200, 300 feet in the air, I'm good. Everything is set, everything is working appropriately, and I check all those things off. I set my checklist down on the ground, and I fly, and I enjoy, and I feel good every single time I do this checklist. Like I said, it is a big psychological tension relief for me to have all those steps taken care of prior to flying, and I can just focus on my photography, my creativeness. I'm in my creative space today, as you notice, because we've got construction going on outside, and so I had to bring it in today to film. But yeah, this is kind of my creative space, and you know, when I'm in the air, I want to be creative and not be worrying about all, you know, did I do this, did I do that, am I prepared? Checklist is going to reduce a lot of that tension for you. Then the next section of my checklist is bringing the drone down to the ground and post-flight. So after post-flight, I check and make sure the rotors are, you know, don't have any damage to them. I didn't hit any bugs or birds or anything crazy. Obviously, if you hit a bird, you would know it, but I just make sure that the rotors are in good condition, the battery's in good condition, the camera lens, I wipe it off. I actually wipe my drone off as well, because you'll get moisture and things like that on the drone, and I make sure that there's no damage to the drone. And I also review my images. That's another big one. When you land and before you leave sight, go ahead and review your images, put that on your checklist, because if for some reason there was a malfunction up there and it didn't capture the image like you thought it did, or perhaps you set it on JPEG instead of RAW or something like that, you have the opportunity to pop it back up and recapture. And so that's why a checklist is so important. It keeps your flow smooth, and it keeps you on task, and it helps reduce that psychological tension so you can have an excellent flight and bring value to your client. That's the big thing. Your clients want consistency, trust, and value. Those are the things that are going to keep clients coming back to you, and this checklist is very important for that process. And so that's what I do. That's how I do it. That's what's on my checklist. If you want my checklist, I'll even send it to you, and you can see if it works for you. Just shoot me a message, give me your email, and I will send it out to you at free charge. I love sharing this information and making people safer, smarter drone operators. So I appreciate you stopping in for Drone Talk Tuesday. I always have a blast talking with you guys. And drop me a comment below, shoot me an email, text me, call me if you guys have any questions, or if there's any other topics you guys want me to cover, I will. And we'll catch you guys next time for Drone Talk Tuesday.